All right, go ahead.
Hey, Mike.
Hey,
Glad to see. I think y'all made it out there already.
we didn't make it. It was a little bit of a planes, trains, and automobile situation, but we got here late last night, able to get a good practice in, and I've had the full day today to kind of get our bearings and legs back under us. Good practice, and we've got some events set up today with the Eastern Band of the Cherokees that we've worked with on our campus some, and this is where they're set up. So we got a full day banquet tonight. Kids have enjoyed themselves, and other than a few travel snafus that we couldn't control, we're here.
If I have it right, I think y'all are tipping off tomorrow at 9:30 local.
That's the rumor. Yeah,
So
that,
I
that's the rumor.
I guess whenever you run into travel hiccups like that, I guess that's actually kind of you're playing late. It could maybe get caught up on rest.
We'll spin it that way. Yeah, we'll spin it, but we'll tell the story that way. We had some stuff planned that we wanted to get in for, but these things are a lot about the experience of doing them, and but yeah, no, it'll definitely play into effect. We've had a lot of prep, maybe as much prep as we've had for any single opponent in a long time.
I'm curious, how is this team, you think, after a loss this year? What's the mood like with this team?
There's obvious disappointment. There's none of them that, and I don't think we've gotten accustomed to it. You worry about a team's getting just desensitized to losing. I don't think we have. They don't like it. They're very competitive. They're very self-critical. We have a lot of people that probably accept too much blame, which I think is a great trait for these kids to have. And I think it's the reason that we've continued to make new mistakes. It's not been, although we've had some that are reoccurring for the most part. We find ways to make new ones, so they do bounce back pretty quick. I would tell you, I felt like we had our most focused practice of the year today. So, like you said, maybe that kind of binds you together. It is sometimes when you're in difficult situations, it kind of binds people together. And maybe that was the case. We'll see if we can carry it over and manage our day tomorrow. That's up to us as coaches. The kids are kids. You can tell them they're playing at, midnight. They'll be fine. I think it's us older folks that may have a hard time adjusting to that. And obviously, we'll do what we can today to get them prepped. We're going to eat a little bit later. Do things a little bit later tonight than normal.
Yeah, and I know you said before the season, on a number of occasions, you're having as much fun right now coaching a team as you've ever had. I'm just curious, like, whenever you say that, what is it about this team that's made them so, I guess, fun to be around and to coach?
I'll give you a couple of examples, and I know she wouldn't mind me sharing. Like, you can get on Kiki Smith. I mean, you can whatever. She misses an assignment, and she'll come back with something just not smart, Alec, but just funny. Like, yeah, coach, I don't know what I was thinking there. Like, I'll get it right now, and then she does. And Izzy's got some of that in her, and then Vera has every single one of them have. They just want to be coached. I think that is and it starts with at the top and it goes all the way down to everybody. Everybody jumps in. Ella, I'll talk all the way down to Ella, who's new. She's like, Coach, I can jump in there and do that. So it's a refreshing thing. It's not been happening for the last 5 or 6 years. It's things like that, Ethan, that you don't anticipate. You can't really, you don't know they're coming. They just kind of happen. I'm not going to name this person because I don't want to insult their high school geography teacher, but they said, are we close to Denver? And we said, yeah, no, not anywhere close to Denver today. Why? And they're like, oh, I thought these mountains looked like they might be Denver. I said, well, the Rockies and the Smokies are a little different. And so we've obviously got to culture our kids a little bit more, but um, I don't know. You need to be around them. The way they do approach it, the way they take you coaching them, the way they take feedback, it's they want to be coached. We've always said, there's somebody said it, great players want feedback, bad players avoid it, and really bad players resist it. These kids, they thrive on it. I mean, they want more film. They're watching it. It's Phoenix, who's only played one game. She's, as of this morning, was the only player who had watched the full long edit, which is really long, and she had questions about it. She'd already watched it. So those are the types of things. And then they know how to act too in the right moments. We've got a kind of a somber event this afternoon when we get to learn more about the Eastern Band of Cherokees, and our kids pay it the proper respect that it's due. They appreciate the little things that we go and set up for them rather than try to find ways out of them as teams that we've had in the past. And that's not just us. I think it's everywhere, Ethan. I've talked to some other coaching friends of mine. They're kind of dealing with the same thing. The rosters that they've put together, the kids they have been very receptive. And I think buy-in is probably the worst cliche I could give it, but that's probably a good way to describe it. They're just kind of in for the experience, and they're really enjoying. They enjoy each other. I was really worried how we would adjust. Phoenix going from practice player to game player, and that was seamless and has been. And so I don't know. I'm thankful we have them. I'm thankful the way it's going, and it has been. We're having to teach. We're having to coach everything, man. It's fun. You have to really be detailed in what you say because partly because of the language barrier, but then the inexperience barrier too. But they've just, I think we've gotten to coach. They've allowed us to coach them, and then they've been receptive to pretty much everything we do on and off the court.
Thanks.
Yep.
Anthony. Hey, Mike, you'd mentioned her a little bit there, but you guys obviously added Ella Rogers. What has she brought to the team to this point, and how did you guys kind of, I guess, go about bringing her on?
Quick feet, a desire to do whatever she can do to help our team. Jump over and simulate somebody. If she jumps in, we need a rep here, need a rep there, whatever. She just is. She's been over anxious to help us in any way she can. It actually started on her recruiting visit. Colby and I are very good friends, and he brings them through our facility. I got a chance to talk to Ella. She was transferring from Xavier, where I had coached. We have some common friends. Some of her friends were friends of coaches that I knew. So we kind of bonded a little bit over that. And then over the course of about the next 6 months, every time I'd walk in the gym, I'd hear a ball bouncing. So I'd want to peek down there and see which one of our kids was getting shots up. And 9 times out of 10, it was Ella. Just in there. She asked because she came in there and shoot. She had very few classes and she loved to exercise. And she was in there all the time, literally as much as anybody we had, just get extra shots. So as the year got a little bit further along, I just kind of like we did with B last year and said, hey, if your year's up, I don't know what you're doing the second semester, because their semester ends, and they're done. A lot of those kids are done, and just said, hey, think about it once y'all's season's over. And she did for a few days and came out, and that's how it's all started. She's a really mature kid. She's uber athletic. Her feet, but we have a hard time getting around her when we're trying to simulate the other opponent sometimes. So we put her on the ball, and then she's mature. She kind of reads the room really well. She's kind of got in where she fit in. She's not tried to, solve some of the problems that we might have or do anything that's out of. She's just got a really good sense about her, how to be a teammate, been a valuable asset.
And then you mentioned your relationship there with Colby, just and having played soccer and a little bit of basketball. I know there are some similarities. Is that something that you kind of see as well, or just like how does that kind of, I guess, play into things?
I think the athleticism does. Colby's really enlightened me to the sport. I've not been probably as knowledgeable about it as I should have, but I got to be friends with Colby. And then one of my GAs, one of my former players at Washington, Heather Corral, and Sammy have a baby. So I've gotten to be a fan not only of how they play, but just how Colby builds his team. We're drastically different in how we go about doing things, but I think some of our tactics are the same. So he summed it up. He told me that soccer is one of those sports where your 11th player makes the difference more often than your first, second, and third player. Where basketball, I think, is kind of the opposite. It's your top 2 or 3 players usually make the quality of your team. So I just love some of their terminology. I like how they practice. I like his approach to how he builds his squad. So I've been a fan of what they do, and we take and tweak it. And then I think the athleticism crossover makes sense. He always recruits tough kids, and we're always looking for that.
And then just how is she kind of, I guess, adjusted to going back to playing basketball? I know she played in high school and all that, but how is she kind of adjusted from going from college soccer to college basketball now?
Way better than I think 90% of our kids would if they were going the other direction. Like I couldn't see them going out and all of a sudden, trying to get a penalty kick past our keepers. But You'd have to ask her, but it seems seamless, man. It seems like she's really enjoying it. I think she loves being a Razorback. You know, it's been a short period of time for her. I think she just wanted to continue to do that. I know she likes Fayetteville, but she is just a fitness kid. Like she loves to stay fit. She'll go out and run on her own. I know she plays pickleball a couple hours a day. She's just always like, I think she went for a hike this morning. I mean, she's always looking for something to do. And but I think she's adjusted. I mean, from our standpoint, I mean, she's just no maintenance. I mean, I'm not having to worry about her grades. I'm not talking to her, but she just takes care of her business and just shows up and goes about. She's got a whatever it takes attitude, smile on her face. She's competitive now. She gets out there and she'll get in the scouting report and really watch the film on who she's going to be portraying, and she does her best to do it. And like I said, I think it's going a lot better than if we tried to flip flop it and send some of our kids out to Colby for a few days.
Dudley?
You got anything, Dud?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't hear my name called. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're right. You're in the spot.
First of all, a movie 20 years ago named The Terminal with Tom Hanks.
Yeah, where he got left and he couldn't get in this. Yeah, yeah.
Well, except for being on the Homeland Security Watch, Petra and I were involved in that this weekend. Supposed to go see the grandson, never made it out of the airport. So not
Okay,
in the
well, I'm
best,
glad
not
you
in
got
the
that.
best, yeah, not in the best festive mood. But all that being said, I just figured you'd seen that movie since you watched it.
I'm a Tom Hanks fan, and I like that movie.
The obviously Liberty, you're going to play
Yeah.
them. Tell us about them and maybe about the possible other two opponents. And when would the second game be, win or lose? I haven't seen that.
Same thing, 7:30 or 9:30, 7 or 9:30. I think it's late. Both of them will be late, no matter whether you win or lose. Or actually, maybe do we know we play the late game no matter what? No, we don't know it. I think it depends on how these two games go. Liberty is a team that is one of the. I played against Coach Green back when I was in my Xavier days, and I followed him. He has got one of the most. He's got two assistant coaches that have been there with him for 18 years. I think he's been there 25, 26, something. His staff doesn't change. They've got a very identifiable system. You know what Liberty's players are going to be like, play like. They're obviously built around two really good wing players, and they've got a big post player, 6'6" kid that does a good job around the basket. They're going to take care of the ball. They are going to, if there's 65 half court possessions, they're probably going to run 55 different plays. I mean, it is an encyclopedia of set plays, and they move you to get what they want. He's one of those coaches that doesn't get talked about enough when people start throwing out great careers because of his longevity. He's stayed loyal to Liberty. They've had some really, really good teams, and this is one I know he's really excited about. I think they were picked second in the preseason conference polls. Maybe they were picked high, second or third. So I know they've got a lot of high expectations, but they're really going to stress you out defensively. You can't guess. The second you get guessing or trying to predict what's going to happen, they're going to beat you in some other way. Defensively, we've been seeing a lot of teams press us. I don't think we'll see that as much tomorrow. It'll probably become more of a half court battle. I'm anxious to see how our kids can respond to that because we've not in the last 4 or 5 games really had to do much of our half court stuff because it's been all in transition and short clock stuff. So should be entertaining. It should be a real entertaining game. It should be fun to watch. I've enjoyed watching them on film. Like I said, they're built around two wing players that can really score a lot of different ways. They can get you to the foul line. They can score in the mid range. They can score from the arc. And the second you fall asleep, they've got a 6'6" kid. They can throw it up there too and around the basket.
Appreciate it.
Got it.
Any other questions?
Ethan raised his hand again.
Yeah. Sorry. Mike,
You're fine.
you mentioned how Liberty it's gonna be a change of pace as far as they're not trapping and stuff. But Texas Tech, that game was like just with all the trapping, a totally new thing. It seemed like y'all had seen this year. Y'all faced a lot of teams that do a lot of different stuff. At this juncture of the year, whenever you've seen so many different defenses, how do you feel like your team, as we're getting so close to conference play, has handled the different types of scouts that you have to throw at them?
I think good. I think we've overwhelmed them at times, though, Ethan. That's something I think we as coaches have all kind of sat around and taken a step back. Like, again, we're used to veteran teams maybe, and not even just veteran, but just not. We could go a little deeper in the scout. So we've had to really focus more on top of scout stuff. And I think it's probably hurt some of our execution at times because we do have to be so focused on the other team's, top two or three things. We're getting ready to face teams that can go more than two or three things deep, So I do think this. I do think other than, I don't think any of us are necessarily going to be prepared for what Tennessee's throwing at people with their depth of talent and their pace. But after that, we've played enough opponents after we finish this and after we play UCA. I think we'll be able to start drawing attention to our players. Like this scout will remind you of X, Y, and Z team from the preseason. So, we put the schedule together to do exactly that. We do that every year. Obviously, this schedule was put together 2 years ago when we thought we were going to have a veteran team too. I mean, we were anticipating the way we had built it. We were going to have a bunch of juniors and seniors and some returners that we would have supplemented some newcomers in with. So it has been a tremendous challenge for the team and our kids and our staff to go into some of these games where we would have to be, going down to 5 or 6 things on a scout that we just can't get to. So, but they've adjusted. We're getting better at it. And I do think by the time we go through the conference, we'll have enough minutes other than Phoenix. Phoenix is just going to need some more game minutes. She played great the other night. And I don't want to, tell anybody that she can play better than that. She certainly can. Will she? I don't know this early, but she's got the ability to come in and impact a game like she did. We'll see how that carries over. But I think the schedule has got us ready for the SEC as a whole. We start with a gauntlet. I don't know if y'all have looked far enough ahead to see our first 4 SEC games are just it's the top of the league, and then a tough one on the road. 3 at the top of the league, and then 1 on the road that's always tough before we get a bye. So I hope we're getting them ready. I do think everything that I've seen from them is there's really not anything you can throw at them that they're not willing to tackle. They're up for the challenges. They like it. So I think we're headed to where when the turn of the season comes and we head for SEC play, we'll have as prepared a team as we could possibly have.
And I got one last thing for you. You were bragging on how Phoenix had watched the whole game film. I think the last time you bragged on a freshman with their film watching was Michaela. You said that back then, you said she was always watching film. Are there any similarities you see there between those two, just as far as like being a freshman and, I guess, preparation to a game?
Maybe just their preparation because their personalities are diametrically opposed. They're on opposite spectrums. I do think their focus is similar. Yeah, I think their focus is similar. Phoenix's personality is out there. I mean, y'all saw her turn it over the first time the other night. She's, big. We're Michaela. Y'all never saw a reaction in 5 years. So I think they have a desire to be prepared. I think they know the value of it. I know Phoenix through her international play knows that if she can do something that helps her save 1 point for her teammate, it's valuable. But yeah, I see some similarities in how they approach it. But I think, their personalities are so different that it's going to come across in a different way. But Phoenix she wants to be one of the most prepared players. And that is very similar to how Mac was. That's a good catch. I hadn't thought about it till you mentioned it.
Thanks, Mike. That's all I got. Hope y'all have a happy, I guess y'all are spending Christmas. Y'all
No,
be back?
we'll let them go. Yeah, we'll let them go. We'll play these 2. Y'all asked me to talk about the other 2 opponents, 2 really good teams that start with a T. Troy and Toledo, both teams that have been in the NCAA tournament, all that. But yeah, we'll play the 2. Everybody will scatter. I'll bring them back the night of the 26th just to get them in town. We'll have a little team dinner, a little Christmas party. We may watch a little bit of film on UCA, and then we'll have 2 days of prep on the floor before we get rolling with them on the 31st, sometime at the end of December.
Yep. Great.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep. All right.